And then you would make yourself what is called a Scooby-Doo sandwich. And what was on the Scooby-Doo? Ham, cheese, tomato, and then sauerkraut, sausage, and then a bread, and then another a cake of cheese, and then brie, and then a whole mess of pickles. And then on top of that, mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, hot dogs. And on top of that, another bread sandwich. If you can't include everything, including beans, meat, and cheese, you got nothing. So, if you can put your mouth around a big old Scooby-Doo sandwich and suck back a big old cup of joe in the morning, then you got enough energy to take on the day. God, that doesn't have anything to do with what we're trying to do today. So we're here at about 183 and I-35. I used to live over here where T.A. Brown is, and this is the church back behind me. It's still here, but we used to come back here. This area used to be called Hollow Rock, and me and my brothers would come out and look for geodes and thunderheads and fossils and all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. Today we're here at the Violet Crown Shopping Center, and in the 50s and the 60s, this is where my mother and the family would come shopping, and they had all kinds of little stores here. It's really funny because the barber shop is right here still, amazingly. And then over here we would go roller skating in this roller rink, but now it's an auto parts store. And then, of course, when we wanted to get our pharmacy stuff, well, the little shop is just a clothing shop now. Okay, this is the highway department. Back in the 50s, this is where we get our licenses. But in 1960s, we went to the Big Chief Drive-In Theater. And this is where I saw, for the first time, and scared half to death, Lawrence of Arabia. We're on Louise Street here in Allendale area, Shoal Creek. And in the 50s, my dad used to take me to Candy Cane Lane. We didn't have any Christmas tree like the lighted Christmas tree and the trail lights and stuff like that in Austin back in the day. So we'd come over to different areas in Austin, and this was kind of cool because this area, everybody in their front yard had a well-lit candy cane and a lighted house. Back in 1965, when we moved here on the Westlake area side in Rollingwood, this was a firing range down by Zilker. It's a Zilker firing range. And the police officers come down here and practice. And we would come back here on the back dirt piles. There would be all this lead, and we would take the lead and we'd take it over to our house and burn this big bonfire and melt lead in our front yard to make pellets for lures. Well, I'm obviously not as good a rider as Bedichek, Webb, and Dobie, but back in the 60s and 70s, I lived right over the hill, and we'd come down, bicycle down here to Barton Creek and go swimming. But we'd also dig around in the trees, in the area of the trees, because people, their coins would fall out of their purses and pockets, and we'd get snow cones and go swimming for free all summer long. After seeing some John Wayne train robber movies, we would come over here and hide along the track near the tunnel. There's a little tunnel back there underneath the bridge at Barton Springs, and we'd run along the side, and they couldn't see. It was the old train. They couldn't see way in the back. We'd run along and jump on the back and then get into a seat, and they wouldn't tell whether you were riding for free or not. See, we're at the Christmas tree, but it used to be a part of a 5-point star of moon towers. Now, moon towers are something that you could recognize from the airplanes when you fly in as in the shape of the star, because this is the capital. So they set these up in the 30s, and of course every kid has got to climb them, and you can get on the ladder. The hardest part was these angles here. You see this? You see the angle irons up there? The hardest part is taking one angle iron to the next angle iron, and then you had a short ladder up to that one. This microwave tower thing, that wasn't there. It was just a little cage, and you could climb right up on the angle irons. It was scary, but when you're a kid, you're not scared of it. You're not scared of nothing. You know. The only story I have about the Seaholm power plant is that they've shut it off years ago, and they were going to turn it into an artist enclave with a lot of shops and activities and stuff and events. They haven't done that yet, but back in the day, my brother had a field trip from his high school, and he got to go in there and see the fires burn inside of the turbines and really turning the turbines. It was great. Well, in 1967, this was the station that we took off from to get on the Amtrak to go to Mexico City. And today, we're lucky to have a train coming in. You just pick it up. It's not an Amtrak, though. It took forever to get down to Laredo, to the border. Cool. The only thing, we stayed at the Hilton in downtown Mexico City, and I ordered a burger, and I tried to order it in Spanish, and it was hell. Hey folks, we're here in Mayfield Park next to Laguna Gloria, and back in the day, we would used to come to Mayfield Park as little kids, and we would chase the peacocks all around, trying to get their feathers. Crazy crackerhead. You're going to stumble and fall and break the can. I know what's going to happen. Actually, everybody comes up here lovelorn and they dive off of here and kill themselves. We ain't planning on doing that today. Careful, man. Is that silly string? There's some art. Well, today we're here at Mount Bunnell. Oh no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. We're on Mount Shepherd. Mount Bunnell's way down there. Mount Shepherd is a lot higher up. This is out over by the Pennybacker Bridge. I used to come down here and go skiing, and this is where I put my boat in. And Lake Austin is 26 miles long from dam to dam, and that's Austin way back there in the distance. Here we are at Green Shores, also known as Ski Shores, where you come down and get a boat to ride up and down. But this is Commodore Pup. But back in the day, it was a huge Commodore. It was a lot bigger. And I came down here on my 8th birthday, and I got a bicycle for the first time. And I rode my bicycle up and down and around, and we stayed out here for a whole weekend. Look at that, man, there he is.
What happened?
I worked real hard to get him to stamp and spit at the same time.
Did he stamp and spit?
Yeah, stamp and spit. That's a good joke.
That kind of spit? A Hawking Luger?
No, nose.
Oh,
Milk
a nose
out your
ejection.
nose. It's a spit. A spit take. We're here at Mount Bunnell, and I don't know what to say. It's the highest point in Austin, but it's Mount Shepherd. The setup over here at Mount Shepherd is that we're here at Mount Shepherd, and people would throw their cameras off at the end of Slacker Joe.
No, that's not where that was thrown.
Misinformation is the middle name here, buddy. Everybody's going to be looking at this and saying, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Oh, this is Mount Bunnell, folks, and this is Austin in the background. It's kind of grown. But not very many people know that back in the 80s, the Coen brothers came here to shoot a movie called Blood Simple. And they wanted to bring a Volkswagen up here for the overlook shot and have Emmett, Walsh? Yeah. Well, the actor, as well, and it was a real huff and puff to get up here. I worked a couple of weeks on that movie.
That's where they threw the camera off and chased confused.
Why did they?
No, slacker. Kids, and we come down here and kill ourselves on these bars.
You're right.
Nah,
like towers.
can't do it. When you were a kid, you could do this. Slide,
So
slide.
this is easier, believe.
As a kid, you could do the whole thing.
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah, I think they put some special paint on here to keep you from
did.
doing that.
Yeah, I wonder.
Drag.
It's like kind of corroded.
Back in 1982, 83, came down here for a party after the Speaking in Tongues tour with the Talking Heads, David Byrne. Jonathan Demme is directing this movie with the Talking Heads, and I met them through another friend. We were kind of the only Super 8 filmmakers at the time, and so David Byrne asked us to come along and shoot a music video with him, Naive Melody. So anyway, they had this big party after the Speaking in Tongues tour song, and concert over here at the Palmer Auditorium. And so we came in here all blacklight, and this girl was a hula hoop artist, and she hula hooped all day glow hula hoops, more than 100 of them. And if you can imagine,